members, the following is a ruling on a matter that has been contested before this House, a matter that has been contested in correspondence with my office, and a matter that has taken center stage in the public media on the issue of leadership of the National Assembly in the 13th Parliament. And here I go. Honorable members, you will recall that during the afternoon sitting of Tuesday, 4th October 2022, I did inform the House that a question had arisen on the manner of constituting the House Business Committee, especially with regard to the membership reserved for the leaders and the whips of the majority party and the minority party, respectively. In guiding the House on the business to be transacted before the establishment of the House Business Committee and the manner in which the business would be moved, I did indicate that a question had arisen as to who the bona fide leader of the majority party in the House is. I proceeded to allow the House to address me on this matter and gave priority to the designated party leaders and whips of the Kenya Kwanza Coalition and the AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya Coalition political party. In the debate that ensued, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah tabled various coalition agreements entered into by the constituent parties of the Kenya Kwanza Coalition and deposited with the Registrar of Political Parties. The Honorable Silvanus Osoro also tabled letters relating to the matter as excerpt of the minutes of the parliamentary group meeting and a list of attendees of the meeting during which the party leaders were elected. Similarly, honorable members, the Honorable Opio Wandai tabled a copy of a letter dated 7th September 2022 from the Registrar of Political Parties addressed to the Clerk of the National Assembly, conveying what the Registrar termed as constituent parties of the AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party, the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, the name of one party which was not affiliated to any coalition, and an indication of parties that had filed constitutional petitions and objections on their membership of the AZIMIO coalition. Honorable members, while contributing to the debate, the Honorable Junet Mohammed also tabled what he claimed to be the coalition agreement entered into between the constituent parties of the AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party. Several other members also weighed in on the matter, including the Honorable Member for Garissa Town, Adan Duale, nominated member, the Honorable John Badi, the member for Ugenya, the Honorable David Ocheng, the member for Tiati, the Honorable William Kamket, the member for Kimilili, the Honorable Didmas Baraza, the member for Kadhiani, the Honorable Robert Mbui, the member for Enakoi, the Honorable Samuel Chepkonga, the member for Embakasi East, the Honorable Babu Wino, the member for Kiharu, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, nominated member, the Honorable Sabina Chege, the member for Kibwezi West, the Honorable Mwengi Mutuse, the member for Mandera North, the Honorable Bashir Abdullahi, the member for Laikipia North, the Honorable Sarah Korere, the member for Ganze, the Honorable Kenneth Kazungu Charo, the member for Alego Songa, the Honorable Samuel Atandi. Other honorable members who spoke on the matter include the member for Tinderet, the Honorable Julius Meli, the member for Kilifi North, the Honorable Owen Bayer, the member for Kabondo Kaspul, the Honorable Eva Obara, the member for Kangundo, the Honorable Fabian Muli, the member for Dagoretti South, the Honorable John Kiarie, the member for Embakasi South, the Honorable Julius Mawade, the member for Kiminini, the Honorable Bisao Kakai, the member for Mhaya, the Honorable Omboko Milemba, the member for Taraka, the Honorable George Murugara, the member for Dagoretti North, the Honorable Beatrice Elachi, and at the conclusion of the debate, I reserved my considered ruling for today. There are many other members who came up on a point of order. I need not mention them. On the onset, honorable members, permit me to amplify a portion of the contribution made by the Honorable John Badi. in which is key to the resolution of this matter. The Hansard records the Honorable Mbadi as having said that there is no contention over which members constitute the leadership of both the Kenya Kwanza coalition and the AZIMIO La Umoja One Kenya coalition. The only contention that exists and which formed the basis of the debate which ensued is over which of the two is the majority. Honorable members, Article 108 of the Constitution establishes the offices of party leaders in Parliament and outlines the order of precedence to be observed in the National Assembly. The article provides as follows: there shall be a leader of the majority party and a leader of the minority party. The leader of the majority party shall be the person who is the leader in the National Assembly of the largest party or a coalition of parties. The leader of the minority party shall be the person who is the leader of the in the National Assembly of the second largest party or a coalition of parties. The following order of precedence shall be observed in the National Assembly. That is sub-article 4 of 108. The Speaker of the National Assembly, the leader of the majority party, and the leader of the minority party. Honorable members, what is clear from the Constitution is that the leader of the majority party must lead either a party or a coalition of parties in the National Assembly. I invite the House to note my emphasis on the word either. Honorable members, Article 92 of the Constitution mandates Parliament to enact legislation on various aspects of political parties. To this end, the Political Parties Act 2011 was enacted. This law has been amended severally, including as late as February this year. Honorable members, you will note that Section 2 of the Political Parties Act 2011 defines a political party as an association of citizens with an identifiable ideology or program that is constituted for the purpose of influencing public policy or nominating candidates to contest elections. The term is further defined to include a coalition of political party, a coalition political party. Under the same section, a coalition is defined as an alliance of two or more political parties formed for the purpose of pursuing a common goal and is governed by a written agreement deposited with the registrar. On the other hand, honorable members, a coalition political party is defined as a coalition that is registered by the registrar as a political party. Interestingly, Section 10(1) of the Act allows two or more political parties to form a coalition or a coalition political party before or after an election on condition that they deposit a coalition agreement with the registrar. Honorable members, what I discern from these definitions of Section 10(1) of the Act is that Parliament, in its wisdom, legislated as follows: that two or more political parties may form a coalition or a coalition party and deposit a written agreement with the registrar. Further, that a coalition of two or more parties may register itself as a political party with the registrar under the Act. You will agree with me that this legislation creates a unique and puzzling scenario where a coalition, which is a conglomeration of parties, can also be treated as a political party on its own right. Honorable members, I note that in the letter that I received from the member for Suna East, the Honorable Junaid Mohammed, on this matter, he submitted names of leaders representing the AZIMIO La Umoja One Kenya coalition party. Curiously, in the same letter, the honorable member signed off as Secretary General of the AZIMIO La Umoja One Kenya coalition. This begs the question of whether AZIMIO La Umoja One Kenya coalition is a coalition, political party, or both. In the debate over this matter, several members argued that a coalition political party is a perfectly legal vehicle that was used in the just concluded election to allow individual and corporate membership within a coalition. In my understanding of Section 2 and Section 10 of the Political Parties Act, Parliament permitted a coalition political party to elect to assume the character of either a party or a coalition. Honorable members, in the last general election, it's evident that AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya elected to behave as several political parties in certain categories of elections, and as one political party with regard to the election of the president. It's without doubt that if it were to be considered as a political party, AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya coalition party has no elected member in this House today, as no member was elected under its banner. This is easily discernible from Gazette notices number 9950 and 9951 of 2022, both dated 23rd August 2022, and Gazette notices number 10535 of 2022, dated 5th September 2022, in which the IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, declare the persons duly elected as members of this House and their respective political parties. Further, honorable members, it is notable that with respect to the members nominated to this House, the AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya coalition political party elected to nominate members under the names of its constituent parties. This can be seen from the Gazette notice number 10537 of 2022, dated 7 September 2022, and Gazette notice number 10710 of 2022, dated 9 September 2022. The AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya coalition party seems to have elected to enter this House in both elective and nominative positions through its individual constituent parties. It is a clear demonstration of the coalition party's respect for freedom of association under Article 36 of the Constitution, which exercise of political rights under Article 38 of the Constitution, and the freedom of speech and debate in the House under Article 117 of the Constitution. Honorable members, Article 108 of the Constitution also allows a coalition to elect and designate their choice of the leader of the majority party. The claim by the Kenya Kwanza coalition is based under this limb. Similarly, the AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya coalition political party has staked its claim to the leadership of the majority party in exercise of its second skin as a coalition. Honorable members, what is clear from the Constitution is that the leader of the majority party must lead either a party or a coalition of parties in the National Assembly, and not both. Indeed, I noted earlier in this communication, in determining the matter confronting the House today, one must ask the question whether the entities claiming the leadership of the majority party are parties or coalitions. The provision of the Constitution seems not to envisage the position of the leader of the majority party being claimed by an entity that is both a party and a coalition of parties. It is apparent that, honorable members, while the AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya coalition political party elected to behave as a political party in certain categories of elections in the last general election, it has now staked its claim to the leadership of the majority party in this House, using its second skin as a coalition. The issue that arises at this stage is whether this conduct is in conformity with the expectation of Article 108 of the Constitution, which requires an entity to elect one of the two choices. You will recall that before the Sindie adjournment of the 12th Parliament, the standing orders were amended to insert a new standing order 2B. This provision requires the Clerk of the National Assembly to obtain a certified copy of any coalition agreement entered into between two or more political parties. This amendment was necessitated by a dispute that arose at the beginning of the 12th Parliament on the entitlement of the constituent parties of the then National Super Alliance Coalition, commonly referred to as NASA Coalition, to a share in the membership of the Parliamentary Service Commission. It was not possible for the then Speaker to resolve the issue without access to and perusal of the then NASA Coalition's agreement deposited with the Registrar. Apart from resolving any disputes related to the membership of the Parliamentary Service Commission, it would interest members to note that pursuant to Article 2152 of the Constitution, part of the membership of the Commission on Revenue Allocation is also drawn from nominees of the majority party and the minority parties in the House. This is the basis upon which the standing order was introduced in the last Parliament so as to enable the Speaker to discern the undertakings made by the parties with regard to the positions available to the House. The sharing of nominees for appointment to commissions such as the Parliamentary Service Commission and the Commission on Revenue Allocation, entitlement to positions in the East African Legislative Assembly, and where necessary, determining the relative majorities in the House. Journals of the House indicate that this provision was hardly intended to be used to resolve questions of which party or coalition of parties has sufficient numbers in this House so as to be entitled to elect the leader of the majority party. Honorable members, the Political Parties Act provides a general framework for the formation of coalitions, but leaves the substantive provisions to the formulation of the respective parties to a coalition. Where the substantive provisions of a coalition agreement are unclear, ambiguous, or are in contention, the interpretation of the intent of the parties is left to the general jurisdiction of the legal system. Nevertheless, honorable members, perusal of an agreement entered between the partners in a coalition would greatly assist, resolve, or forestall unnecessary disputes likely to impede the conduct of the business of the House. Indeed, upon obtaining a copy of the NASA coalition agreement, my immediate predecessor did urge that the provision of the coalition agreements to the House should become standard practice. This is what informed the introduction of new Standing Order 2B in our rules of procedure. Honorable members, with regard to the coalition agreements affecting the affairs of the 13th Parliament, the clerk did write to the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties on 2nd September 2022. In her letter, entitled Request for Information and Copies of Coalition Agreements pursuant to the National Assembly Standing Order 2B, the clerk provided the registrar with a list of parties with representation in the House at the time. The clerk sought the following from the registrar, and I quote, "Guidance on which particular political parties from the list above are in coalition arrangements, please include the date of the registration of the coalitions." 2, information on changes made to any of the coalition agreements or partnerships that are in place and the dates of the changes, if any. And 3, certified copies of the coalition arrangements entered into by any of the parties listed herein. Honorable members, in response, the registrar noted that at 21st April 2022, AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party comprised 26 political parties, namely Jubilee Party, JP, Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, Wiper Democratic Movement, WDM, Kenya African National Union, KANU, National Rainbow Coalition, NAC, National Rainbow Coalition Kenya, NAC Kenya, Muungano Party, Maendeleo Chap Party, Democratic Action Party, DAP-K, Devolution Empowerment Party, United Party of Independent Alliance, United Democratic Movement, UDM, United Progressive Alliance, UPA, Pamoja African Alliance, PAA or PA, Kenya Union Party, KUP, United Democratic Party, UDP, Movement for Democracy and Growth, MDG, Kenya Reform Party, KRP, Chama cha Uzalendo, CCU, National Liberal Party, NLP, People's Trust Party, PTP, Ubuntu People's Forum, UPF, Party of National Unity, PNU, Labour Party of Kenya, LPK, and the Party for Growth and Prosperity. In the same letter, according to the registrar, the Kenya Kwanza Alliance comprises 15 political parties, with the UD, United Democratic Alliance, UDA, Amani Congress, National Congress, ANC, Forum for Restoration of Democracy Kenya, Ford Kenya, Chama cha Kazi, Communist Party of Kenya, CPK, the Service Party, TSP, Tuchibebe wa Kenya Party, Farmers Party, Devolution Party of Kenya, Economic Freedom Party, and the Umoja na Maendeleo Party as members of the coalition as of 3rd June 2022. Can the members take their seats? Honorable members, the letter further notes that the Democratic Party, the National Agenda Party of Kenya, the Grand Dream Development Party, and Chama cha Mashinani effectively became members of the coalition on 5th September 2022. The registrar also observed that the National Ordinary People Empowerment Union, NOPEU, is not a member of any of the coalitions. Honorable members, in the letter, the registrar also conveys that Maendeleo Chap Party, Pamoja African Alliance Party, PA, United Democratic Movement, UDM, and Movement for Democracy and Growth, MDG, have filed constitutional petitions and or objections with regard to their membership of AZIMIO coalition. It is notable that despite the written request by the Clerk of the National Assembly, the registrar did not convey certified copies of any pre-election or post-election coalition agreement entered into by the parties with the representation in this House in the response to the letter dated 7 September 2022. May I at this juncture, honorable members, report to the House that surprisingly, the registrar today morning at 8:30 a.m. submitted to me through the office of the clerk documents said to be the certified copies of the coalition agreements for the Kenya Kwanza Alliance Coalition and the AZIMIO la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party. Curiously, whereas the registrar's letter to the clerk for the National Assembly is dated 3rd October 2022, the accompanying agreements bear a certification of the following day, which is 4th October 2022. The letter and the documents were delivered to the office of the clerk today, the 6th October 2022, more than 6 weeks after the request by the clerk. Seemingly, this may be read by any reasonable person to be a reaction to the proceedings of the House on Tuesday, 4th October 2022. Nevertheless, I have had occasion to peruse the documents accompanying the letter as against the documents tabled in the House on Tuesday this week. Despite attempting to advise the House on the status of the coalition agreements affecting the composition of the House as at 3rd October 2022, the registrar has again failed to mention the existence of any post-election coalition agreements. This is a glaring omission when viewed against the post-election coalition agreements tabled by the member for Kikuyu constituency during the proceedings. The post-election coalition agreements are critical to the Speaker for purposes of guaranteeing the constitutional rights and political freedoms of the members of this House elected under UDM, PAR, MCCP, and MDG. Honorable members, this now brings me to the submissions made by the Honorable Opio Wandai on the significance to be attached to the response of the Registrar of Political Parties, which he also tabled in the House on Tuesday this week, and any subsequent communication from the Registrar. It will be recalled, honorable members, that the distinguished member for Ugunja submitted that the Speaker has no other role apart from conveying information contained in the letter by the Registrar to the House. You will agree with me that this view is untenable for two main reasons. First, Section 10 of the Political Parties Act 2011 is clear that coalitions are not cast in stone but are an evolving arrangements which can occur both prior to and after election. The Registrar has shied away from making a determination on the post-election status of the existing coalitions in light of the submissions made by part of the membership of this House and letters written to me by a number of members relating to post-election coalitions. The Speaker ought not to be a conduit for this indecision insofar as it has the potential of curtailing the business of the House, which is an important constitutional arm of the national government. Secondly, you'll also agree with me, honorable members, that the assertion by the honorable member for Ugunja is flawed on account of the history I have given on the House relating to the rationale of introducing Standing Order 2B. It is indeed an established parliamentary practice that the Speaker is not a mere conveyor belt of information. The Speaker must apply his mind to any communication or document before it is presented to the House or admitted for use in the House. This is important in order to comply with the standing orders of this House and to protect the dignity of the House. Honorable members, in the present instance, Standing Order 2B expressly requires the clerk to obtain a certified copy of any coalition agreement to assist the Speaker to ascertain the relative majorities of the House and facilitate the transaction of the business of the House. Certification of the document and determination of its veracity and admissibility is of prime importance. You will agree with me again, honorable members, that there would be chaos in this House if I was to make rulings on the basis of unauthenticated and verifiable and inadmissible documents that affect the rights of members. Honorable members, I do note that unless the Political Parties Act is amended or the House exercises its powers to call for evidence under Article 125 of the Constitution, there currently exists no express statutory obligation to the Registrar to furnish the House with the coalition agreements as contemplated under Standing Order 2B. As a matter of fact, the 12th Parliament noted this particular gap and proposed amendments to the Political Parties Act, whose introduction I approved in my communication issued during the afternoon sitting of Tuesday. Those members of JLAC have a job to do to cure this lacuna. Honorable members, attempts were made by members during the afternoon sitting of Tuesday, 4th October 2022, to table coalition agreements in support of the claims by the Kenya Kwanza Coalition and AZIMIO La Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party. You will recall that I ruled the documents tabled by the Honorable Junet Mohammed as inadmissible owing to the inconsistencies that were apparent on the face of the document. The inconsistencies were glaring, especially in light of allegations made by the Honorable David Ocheng's denouncing association of both himself and his party with the coalition political party.